If I'd known a single collision would rewrite my entire life at Crestfield University, I would have walked a different hallway. But then again, maybe I wouldn't have, because for better or worse, Liam Torres made everything feel too alive. The day he arrived was supposed to be just another Monday. I was early for macro theory, coffee in hand, top of the class as always. Then the door burst open and someone stumbled in, backpack half unzipped, dark hoodie dripping from the morning rain. He bumped straight into me, hard enough to spill half my coffee down my sleeve. "Watch where you're," I stopped. Sharp gray eyes met mine, framed by damp hair and the kind of smirk that dared you to punch it. "My bad," he said, not sounding sorry at all. "Guess you should have moved faster." That was Liam Torres, transfer student, chaos personified, and from the very start, a walking invitation to lose control. I took my usual seat in the front row, and he, of course, slid into the one beside me. When Professor Alden asked a question only I ever answered, Liam spoke up first. "The revised model contradicts that conclusion," he said, voice lazy but confident. The class went still. I raised my hand, correcting him, but he countered every point like he'd read the same material twice just to challenge me. The professor actually smiled at him. By the time the bell rang, I wasn't sure if I wanted to strangle him or ask where he'd learned so much. For the next 2 weeks, he was everywhere. Every lecture, every study group, every time I blinked, Liam Torres. He was a storm I couldn't shut out. When the mid-semester basketball scrimmage rolled around, I thought I could reclaim my peace. Sports were my escape, my territory. But when coach announced the teams, guess who was standing opposite me, spinning the ball on his finger like he owned the court? He grinned. "Ready to lose, golden boy? Keep dreaming." The whistle blew. We clashed, fast, physical, relentless. I hated how aware I was of him, the heat of his shoulder when we collided, the quick breath he let out when I stole the ball, the grin he gave me like losing would still be worth it. In the final minute, he faked left, cut right, and scored. The crowd roared. My stomach twisted. When he brushed past me afterward, his voice was a low whisper. "Didn't know you could sweat that much from trying to keep up." I wanted to punch him. Instead, I stared after him like an idiot, my pulse outpacing every rational thought. That night, fate finished what the universe started. Our dorm manager called me in. "Rooming glitch," he said. "You'll share with Liam Torres till next term." At first, I thought it was a joke. Then I opened the door and found him unpacking his things, earbuds in, humming off-key. He looked up, grinning. "Guess we're roommates." I dropped my bag on the opposite bed. "Temporary roommates." "Sure, whatever helps you sleep." He was impossible, messy, sarcastic, always pushing. Yet as the days passed, I started noticing small things, how he stayed up sketching designs when he thought I was asleep, how he'd hand me a coffee when he made one for himself, pretending it was extra, how the room felt emptier when he wasn't in it. Then came the night that changed everything. Rain hammered against the windows. I sat typing an essay, trying not to listen to the soft rhythm of his pencil against paper. My concentration was a joke. Every breath felt heavier, like the air had thickened just because he was there. He looked over suddenly. "You always breathe that loud when you're tense?" I frowned. "I'm not tense." "Sure." He stood, crossing the small room until he leaned against my desk. "You get all rigid whenever I talk to you. It's kind of cute." "Don't call me that." "Cute?" His eyes gleamed. "Fine. Intense, then." "Liam, move. Make me." I pushed my chair back, it bumped into his leg. Neither of us moved. Rain and heartbeats filled the silence. He lowered his voice. "Tell me the truth. You hate me, right?" "I don't hate you." "Then why are you shaking?" I realized I was. Tiny tremors ran through me, not from fear, but something far worse, want. The awareness of him was too sharp, the scent of rain on his hoodie, the warmth radiating from his skin. He leaned in, so close his breath brushed my cheek. For a second, I forgot how to breathe. Every thought tangled together, anger, confusion, something hot and reckless pulsing beneath my ribs. My hand rose before I could stop it, fingers grazing his sleeve. He froze. The moment stretched. Then he stepped back, just enough to break it. A smirk curved his mouth, but his voice wasn't steady anymore. Thought so. He turned away, tossing himself onto his bed like nothing had happened. I sat there, pulse still racing, words trapped somewhere between my throat and heart. Sleep didn't come easily that night. Every time lightning flashed, I saw the way he'd looked at me, half challenge, half confession. By morning, I decided to pretend nothing had changed. He beat me to it. Morning, golden boy. His voice was hoarse, almost gentle. You type essays in your sleep now? Dreamed of proving you wrong, I muttered. He laughed, running a hand through his messy hair. Hot dream. He brushed past me to grab a towel, shoulder grazing mine. Just a touch, enough to send a spark through my spine. I stared at the door long after he left. Later, in class, I caught him watching me from 2 rows back. Our eyes met for half a second, and it felt like standing too close to a flame. I looked away first. That evening, I found a note on my desk in his sharp handwriting. Still shaking? L. I tore it in half, but my hands were trembling again. I used to think rivalry was fuel, something clean, sharp, pushing me to win. But Liam blurred every line until I didn't know what I wanted to beat out of him and what I wanted to feel again. When people asked about him, I said I couldn't stand him. And maybe that was true. I couldn't stand the way he laughed at my seriousness. I couldn't stand that he saw through me so easily. I couldn't stand that every time he walked into a room, I felt like I was about to do something I couldn't take back. The week ended with another storm. We both came in drenched from practice, too tired to talk. The room smelled of rain and electricity. I changed into a dry shirt, catching him watching me from the corner of his eye. What? I asked. Nothing. He smirked. Just wondering if golden boys ever get tired of pretending they don't want things. And what would you know about that? Enough. He turned off the lamp, plunging the room into darkness. Only the rain and our uneven breathing filled the space. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, heart pounding so loudly I was sure he could hear it. I didn't move, didn't speak, didn't even know what I would say if I did. But somewhere between thunder and silence, I heard his quiet chuckle. Night, Ethan, he whispered. For the first time, hearing my name from his lips didn't sound like an insult. It sounded like a promise I wasn't ready to understand. That night I finally admitted to myself what I'd been denying since day one. I couldn't stop thinking about Liam Torres. And maybe I didn't want to. Rain started tapping against the window long before I noticed the thunder. The dorm lights flickered once, twice, and then went out completely, leaving the room in half darkness. I could still hear Liam moving around, the soft rustle of his hoodie, the creak of the bunk frame when he leaned against it. Don't tell me you're scared of a little thunder, he said, voice a low hum in the dark. I'm not, I shot back automatically. The words came out sharper than I meant. He laughed, and the sound curled through the air like smoke. Since the day he arrived, Liam had turned my entire routine upside down. He was impossible to ignore, the kind of person who didn't just walk into a room, he owned it. In class, in practice, even here, in this tiny dorm room we were forced to share, he made sure his presence filled every corner. And lately, I hated how aware I was of him. I could still picture the way his t-shirt clung to him after practice earlier, sweat tracing along his collarbone, his grin lazy as he teased me about losing a point in the last game. I told myself I didn't care. But every time he brushed past me, every time his shoulder grazed mine, it felt like crossing a line I'd drawn and redrawn 100 times in my head. A crack of thunder snapped me out of it. The room went completely black. Great, I muttered. Power's out. From the other side of the room, I heard the smile in his voice. Guess it's just you and me, golden boy. I could practically feel his smirk even though I couldn't see him. You wish, I said, fumbling for my phone flashlight. Before I could turn it on, another flash of lightning lit the room, just for a heartbeat. Liam was standing close. Too close. His eyes caught the light, sharp and unreadable. The flash vanished, plunging us back into shadow. You hate this, don't you? He murmured. Being stuck with me. Pretty much, I said, but my voice didn't sound convincing, not even to me. He took a slow step closer. I could sense the heat radiating from him. Funny, he said softly, because you stare at me a lot for someone who can't stand me. My pulse jumped. You're imagining things. Oh? He was right in front of me now. I could smell the rain on his skin, the faint trace of his cologne, something sharp, something warm. Then why are you shaking? Lightning flashed again, and our faces were inches apart. His eyes flicked down to my mouth, then back up. The air felt electric, charged, ready to snap. You wish I was scared of you, I said, my breath catching. He smiled, that infuriating, slow curve that always looked like a dare. Maybe I do. The next second, his hand brushed against my jaw, not rough, but firm enough to make me forget the thunder outside. He tilted my face up. I should have stepped back. I didn't. The kiss wasn't gentle. It was fire and defiance, every unspoken argument, every glare, every near touch condensed into one breathless collision. My fingers gripped the edge of his hoodie before I realized what I was doing. His hand slid to the back of my neck, pulling me closer. Every thought scattered like sparks. Then, as suddenly as it started, he pulled away. For a long moment, neither of us said anything. The sound of rain filled the silence between us. That shouldn't have happened, I said finally, voice low. Then stop looking at me like you want it to happen again, he murmured. I couldn't answer. I didn't even know what I wanted to say. My heartbeat was still trying to catch up with what just happened. He turned away first, dropping onto his bed with a sigh. Good night, golden boy. I stood there in the dark, breathing hard, my lips still tingling. When I finally lay down, the thunder had faded, but the storm inside me hadn't. Sleep didn't come easy that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the lightning flash in his face, so close I could feel the warmth of his breath. And I knew one thing for sure. Whatever line I thought existed between us, it was gone. Morning came too bright, too fast. The rain had stopped sometime before dawn, but the storm hadn't really ended, not inside me. When I opened my eyes, Liam was already up. He was sitting on the edge of his bed, tying his shoes like nothing had happened. Like he hadn't kissed me last night. Like I hadn't kissed him back. For a second, I just watched him, the curve of his shoulders, the way his hair fell into his eyes as he bent forward. My chest tightened with something I didn't want to name. When he noticed me staring, he glanced up, expression unreadable. Morning, golden boy. His tone was casual, teasing, but I caught the faint hitch in his voice. Morning, I muttered, forcing myself upright. Practice starts in 20 minutes. He shrugged, grabbing his gym bag. Then you'd better hurry. Wouldn't want to lose to me again. That smirk, it was his armor. It made it easier for both of us to pretend last night didn't exist. So I let him. I grabbed my towel, brushed past him, and told myself the heat I felt wasn't real. But the thing about pretending is, it only works until something breaks. The gym was already loud when we got there, sneakers squeaking, whistles blowing, the sound of voices bouncing off the walls. Today's practice was more than just drills. Coach had set up a team competition, red team versus blue, pride on the line. Liam, of course, was on the opposite side. He grinned at me from across the court. Try not to embarrass yourself this time, Kim. Try not to lose, I shot back. We both knew it wasn't just about the game. Every pass, every move felt like a challenge, a taunt wrapped in motion. When he scored, he made sure to glance my way, smug. When I blocked him, he laughed like he'd been waiting for it. The tension wasn't just competitive, it was combustible. By the second half, my pulse was pounding harder than it should. The ball came fast, and I lunged for it. My foot landed wrong. Pain shot up my leg like lightning. I stumbled, crashing to the floor. "Ethan!" It was Liam's voice, sharp, panicked. Before the coach or anyone else could reach me, he was already there, kneeling beside me. His hand hovered over my knee, then gripped my shoulder firmly. "Don't move," he said, eyes flicking over my face. "You twisted it." "I'm fine," I gritted out, though my vision wavered. "You're not fine," he snapped. His voice dropped, low and fierce. "Why the hell didn't you watch where you were going?" I met his glare and almost forgot the pain. "Why do you care?" His jaw tightened. "Because you're he stopped himself, glancing at the teammates now crowding around. "Because you're an idiot, that's why." Coach called for a timeout, sending Liam to help me to the bench. His hand stayed firm under my arm as we walked, his touch steady, grounding. I hated how much I needed it. When we reached the bench, he crouched again. "You should ice it." "I can manage." "Sure you can," he said dryly. "You can barely stand." He looked up at me, and for a moment the sarcasm faded. "Let me help, Ethan." Hearing my name and his voice like that, soft, real, made something inside me give way. I nodded once. He stayed beside me until practice ended, ignoring every comment, every look. When the others finally left, he tossed me his water bottle and said quietly, "Come on. Let's get you back to the room." The walk back was slow. The sun was out now, bright and unkind, making me squint. Liam didn't talk much. He just stayed close, his hand brushing mine once when I stumbled. Neither of us mentioned it. When we reached our room, I sank onto my bed, hissing at the dull ache in my knee. Liam disappeared into the bathroom and came back with a towel-wrapped ice pack. He knelt again, pressing it gently against my leg. "See," he said with that familiar half-smile. "You'd be lost without me." "Cocky as ever," I muttered. He looked up, meeting my eyes. "You like that about me?" I froze. "What?" "That you can't figure me out," he said, voice dropping. "That you keep trying to." He set the ice pack aside and leaned closer. "You think I don't see the way you look at me?" My heartbeat stumbled. "You think you're the only one losing control?" I fired back, the words out before I could stop them. Something dark flickered in his eyes. "Say that again." I didn't. I couldn't. Because he was already moving, closing the distance between us until I could feel his breath against my skin. His hand slid to my jaw again, just like it had last night, only slower this time. "You should tell me to back off," he whispered. "I should," I breathed. But I didn't. The kiss came like a storm breaking, not sudden this time, but deep and consuming. His lips were warm, deliberate, tracing over mine with a hunger that burned low and steady. I could feel his heartbeat against my chest, quick and uneven. My hand found his hoodie, gripping it, pulling him closer. He groaned softly against my mouth, and the sound sent a shiver through me. Everything else, the pain, the noise, the daylight, fell away. There was only him. His thumb brushed my cheek. "Ethan," he murmured, like my name was something fragile. That was when I pulled back. Breathless. Unsteady. "We can't," I said. "Not like this." He didn't move, just looked at me, eyes burning. "Then tell me to stop." Silence stretched between us. The air felt heavy, waiting. I didn't tell him to stop. I didn't say anything at all. Liam's hand fell away slowly, like he was fighting himself. He leaned back, raking a hand through his hair. "You drive me insane, you know that?" "Right back at you," I whispered. He laughed once, soft, bitter, and stood up. "You should rest. Coach will kill me if you miss tomorrow." I nodded, even though rest was the last thing I was capable of. My pulse was still racing, my skin still buzzing from his touch. When he turned to leave, I caught his wrist without thinking. "Liam." He stopped, looking down at me. "I didn't say stop," I said quietly. For a moment, something flickered across his face, surprise, then something else, darker and warmer. He didn't say a word. He just gave a small, knowing smile and let his fingers brush mine before pulling away. When the door clicked shut behind him, I sank back against the wall, exhaling shakily. I knew I'd crossed a line I couldn't uncross. And the worst part? I didn't want to. Rumors crawled through the halls like smoke. You never saw where they started, but once they caught fire, everyone breathed them in. By Monday, whispers said I'd been too close to Liam. That we were always together. That maybe the team captain wasn't so straight-laced after all. I pretended not to hear, but every word clung to me. Liam only looked amused, that half-smile daring me to react. He'd stretch in front of me, bump shoulders during drills, murmur things no one else could hear. Every time I swore to stay calm, my heart betrayed me first. It boiled over at the rooftop party. City lights bled into the night, the air was heavy with beer, music, and rain-damp heat. I wasn't even supposed to be there, but staying away didn't help. I saw him the moment I arrived. Liam, sleeves rolled up, laughter easy, leaning against the railing like nothing touched him. I tried to ignore him until Marco, a teammate, started chatting, compliment, grin, step closer. Too close. The air shifted. Before turning, I already knew Liam was watching. His jaw locked, eyes dark and steady. When Marco's hand brushed my arm, Liam started walking toward us. Ethan. Just my name, quiet but edged. He stopped in front of me, ignoring Marco. Can we talk? I said I need to talk to you. His hand closed around my wrist, not rough, just firm, and he pulled me toward the stairwell, away from the noise. The air there felt thick, electric. I jerked free. What the hell was that? You really want me to lose control in front of everyone? My breath caught. Excuse me? You think I didn't see him touching you? He wasn't. Don't lie. He braced an arm beside my head. You were smiling at him. So what if I was? We're not. Not what? Not something? Why do you care? I shot back. You act like it means nothing. He met my eyes, no smirk, no mask. Because it doesn't mean nothing. The words hit harder than I wanted them to. Lightning flashed, carving the tension on his face. And then he leaned in. The kiss was rough, anger, jealousy, and too much restraint breaking loose. One heartbeat, we were arguing, the next, his mouth was on mine. His hand cupped my neck, pulling me close until I felt every inch of him. My fingers twisted in his shirt, rain brushed our skin. The world blurred to the sound of our breathing. When we finally broke apart, both of us were shaking. You started this, I rasped. His smile was slow, dangerous. No. You did, the moment you looked at me like that. I should have walked away. Instead I leaned in again, forehead to his, chasing that impossible calm before chaos. A laugh echoed nearby. We froze. Reality snapped back. I stepped away, lungs burning. Whatever line we'd tried not to cross, we'd shattered it. The ride home was silent, tension still clinging to my skin. Back in our room, I dropped onto my bed. He watched me from across the space. You're quiet, he said. What do you want me to say? That you regret it. I met his eyes. Do you? He hesitated, then, no. Something cracked inside me. He leaned forward, voice low. You can't keep pretending this isn't real. I wanted to argue, but every look between us stripped the fight away. Because he was right. It was real, and that scared me more than anything. That night, I couldn't sleep. I still felt him, his touch, his breath, his voice in my head. He was supposed to be the rival I couldn't stand, not the person I couldn't stop wanting. Across the dark room, I heard him shift, awake too. Neither of us spoke, but the silence between us said everything. We'd crossed the line, and there was no going back. The morning after felt too quiet. Even the sunlight that crept through the blinds seemed unsure, soft, hesitant, like it knew something had shifted and didn't want to wake it too soon. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, listening to the steady rhythm of Liam's breathing from across the room. It wasn't the same as before. Something invisible and unspoken had settled between us, heavier than air and lighter than reason. My lips still tingled from the night before, from that rooftop kiss that burned away everything I thought I knew about us. Rivalry. Hatred. Competition. All of it had blurred into something else, something raw and magnetic. I turned slightly, just enough to see him. Liam was half awake, hair tousled, the morning light brushing across his jaw. There was a softness in his expression I'd never seen before, no smirk, no defiance, just calm. When his eyes met mine, the quiet broke. "Morning," he said, his voice rough, low, like it hadn't fully woken up yet. "Morning," I echoed. My throat was dry. "You sleep at all?" He stretched, the blanket sliding down his bare shoulders. "Barely." "You kept moving." I almost laughed. "You kept staring." He didn't deny it, just gave me that slow, unreadable grin that always made my chest tighten. "Can you blame me?" I sat up, pushing my hair back. "We shouldn't." "Don't say it," he interrupted gently. "Not today." His tone wasn't demanding this time. It was almost pleading. And I didn't have the strength to argue. Not when I still felt the echo of his touch, the way his hand had lingered at the back of my neck the night before, grounding me even when the world felt like it was spinning. For the first time, I didn't want to win against him. I just wanted to understand him. By afternoon, the world outside our dorm didn't care about what had happened between us. The campus buzzed with the same restless energy, laughter echoing down hallways, sneakers squeaking against the gym floor. It was championship day. The day. I'd been training for this match for months, the finals of the Crestfield League, our school's biggest event of the season. And of course, fate had a twisted sense of humor. Liam's team was our opponent. We hadn't spoken about it all morning. Maybe because neither of us knew what to say. By the time we reached the court, the crowd's roar drowned out any thought of conversation. Coach gave his speech. The whistle blew. And then, chaos. The game was brutal. Sweat stung my eyes, my heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my fingertips. Every time Liam caught the ball, it was like the rest of the world slowed down for a second. He moved with precision, confident, sharp, dangerous. He scored twice early on. The crowd loved him for it. And every cheer for him felt like a tug inside me, that complicated blend of admiration and envy I couldn't untangle. We were tied by the final quarter. Everything came down to one play, one final, perfect moment. And somehow, the ball was in my hands. The seconds ticked away. I could make the shot. I should make the shot. But when I saw Liam sprinting toward the basket, eyes locked on mine, something inside me hesitated. Because I realized, it wasn't about winning anymore. Not today. So instead, I passed. Quick, clean, deliberate. The ball left my hands and landed squarely in his. He blinked, surprised, then moved on instinct. 2 steps. A jump. Score. The crowd erupted. Liam's team won. And I stood there, chest heaving, pretending I didn't just throw away everything I'd been working for. After the handshake line, I slipped away before anyone could corner me. The locker room noise faded behind me as I stepped out to the bleachers. The sun was setting, streaking the sky with gold and red. I sat there, still catching my breath, sweat cooling on my skin. I told myself it didn't matter. That I'd just made a choice, a fair one. But the hollow ache in my chest said otherwise. Footsteps echoed behind me. I didn't have to look to know who it was. "You threw the game," Liam said. His tone wasn't accusing so much as incredulous. Like he couldn't quite believe it. I gave a small laugh. "Guess I finally let you win something." He stopped in front of me, his shadow stretching over the bleachers. "You don't just let someone win, Ethan. That's not you. I shrugged, keeping my eyes on the fading horizon. Maybe I'm full of surprises. Don't, he said softly. Don't hide behind that. Something in his voice made me look up. He looked different, not triumphant, not cocky. Just affected. Like the victory didn't mean as much as it should have. Why'd you do it? He asked again, quieter this time. I swallowed hard. Because I didn't want to beat you. He blinked. That's not you talking. Maybe it's the new me, I said, forcing a smirk. Don't get used to it. He stared at me for a long moment, then let out a short laugh, the kind that wasn't really amused, just full of disbelief. You drive me insane. I've heard. And then he moved, quick, decisive, closing the space between us before I could react. One hand slid around the back of my neck, the other pressing against the railing behind me. You shouldn't have done that, he murmured, eyes flicking down to my mouth. Why? I whispered. Because now I owe you. And then he kissed me. It wasn't a soft kiss. It was the kind that stole your breath, all pent-up energy and reckless emotion. The kind that burned through hesitation and reason in one strike. The bleachers creaked under us as I leaned into him, my hands gripping his shoulders. His skin was still warm from the game, his heartbeat rapid against my chest. He pulled back only long enough to breathe. You drive me crazy, Ethan Kim. You said that already, I managed, breathless. Yeah, he murmured, brushing his thumb along my jaw. But I like saying it. I felt his smile before I saw it. That dangerous, beautiful smile that used to infuriate me, now it did something entirely different. The world felt very far away. The crowd, the noise, the scoreboard, all of it blurred into nothing. There was only him, and the dizzying realization that whatever this was, it wasn't rivalry anymore. It hadn't been for a long time. He rested his forehead against mine, our breaths mingling. What now? I whispered. His lips curved into that familiar smirk, softer this time. Now? We see how long we can keep this a secret. I laughed quietly. That's not going to work. Then I guess we'll just have to make it worth the trouble. Later, when the gym was empty and the lights dimmed, we sat side by side on the court. Our legs brushed occasionally, neither of us moving away. The silence between us wasn't awkward anymore, it was comfortable. He glanced at me. So, was it worth it? What? Letting me win. I smiled faintly. Ask me again when the rumors start. He chuckled, leaning back on his hands. They'll never stop, you know. About us. I looked at him, the boy who'd once been nothing but my rival, now sitting beside me with the same reckless glint in his eyes. Maybe that's fine. He raised a brow. You don't care what they say anymore? No, I said honestly. Not if it means this. He didn't answer right away. Just watched me for a beat, like he was memorizing me, before his fingers brushed mine, tentative but sure. And that simple touch said everything words couldn't. That night, as we walked back to the dorm, the world felt different. Lighter. Like we'd finally stopped fighting gravity and just fallen. When we reached our door, Liam paused, his hand on the knob. Ethan? Yeah? He smiled, that real, rare smile that stripped away every layer of arrogance. You know this doesn't mean I'll go easy on you next season. I smirked. Wouldn't want you to. He leaned in, his breath warm against my ear. Good. Because rivalry looks good on you. And before I could reply, he pressed a quick, teasing kiss to my jaw and disappeared inside. I stood there for a moment, my heart pounding, realizing that for the first time, I wasn't dreading tomorrow. Because whatever we were now, rivals, lovers, something in between, it felt like the start of something neither of us could control. And maybe that was exactly how it was meant to be.
If you enjoyed this steamy ride of love, power, and desire, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel for more hot BL stories that will leave your heart racing. Turn on notifications so you never miss the next episode.